Hey guys, how are ya? I am outside today. I was hoping it was going to be a little warmer. It was like almost 80 yesterday and I actually got a sunburn. I didn't have anything planned for inside, so we're going to brave it outside. We're going to be pruning back roses today, different types of roses, and possibly hydrangeas. It just depends on how far along they are in their budding stage, and I'll explain that when we get to it. So basically what you want for pruning your rose bushes is a good pair of what the English call secateurs, just prunings, and also some heavy duty gloves. Leather is good, but there's also some heavy duty cloth ones out there. They have really wicked thorns, and so you want to be prepared for that. We're also going to give them some good fertilizer. I love Espoma products. They're just there to feed the plant and get it ready for blooming this spring, give it the food it needs. So this is what we're going to be doing, but I wanted to walk you through this. Now, these are my knockout rose bushes. I have 3 of them here. I really didn't prune on these much at all last year, but I am going to give them a good prune this year because, well, for one thing, they will grow and shoot out lots of canes throughout the season. But they will benefit from a good pruning because roses really need to be pruned. You see that there's lots of little tiny branches inside, and you've got your main canes, the really thick ones. So you want to take it down by at least 1/3 and maybe even 1/2. And don't worry, be brave. Roses love a good pruning. The roses that you get, you'll really see the difference. So you can tell already, because we've had some really nice warm weather, we've got some serious blooms coming out, buds coming out, but we're going to cut off quite a bit only because it really needs it. And this is how you size control it throughout the year as well. Now, with these knockout bushes, obviously you don't need to do a lot, but you want to take out what's called the 3 Ds: diseased, dead, damaged. Okay, so anything on your plant that has any of those 3, you want to take it out. Also, anything that is very, very thin and spindly, they're not going to produce much of anything. And you really want the plant to send its energy from these main canes into beautiful flower production and not dealing with a lot of spindly growth. So we're going to just start out and we'll take off last year's growth. And anything that is pointing inward, we want to take out because the plants, roses, most plants, but roses in particular, they need a lot of space to breathe inside. And I noticed when I didn't prune real hard on these last summer or last spring, I was dealing with some powdery mildew, and you don't want to deal with that. And so you have to let your roses breathe. So I'm going to be doing kind of a hard prune. It might be hard to watch, but I promise you, you just have to be brave, and you just can't worry about it, because roses will love you for this. And anything down below, you should really get rid of that's really thin and spindly. It's just going to make it really full down below at the roots, and you don't want that because the roots and the bottom part of these canes, they need to breathe. So take it back, this one, and anything like this where you see they're rubbing against each other here, you want to take those out, because that's where you're going to get damaged branches. And you don't want any part of that. And what you want to do is you just want to clip right above a strong bud right here. Okay. Okay, so right here you'll see this one, it's discolored. right where the bud would come out, right here. I'll take my glove off so you can see. Right here, it's all black. That part is dead. So this one is real small, but this one is a real strong bud. So you just want to come along and clip it right there. Okay, so that's where, you know, obviously you see the leaves, so that's where the leaves will come out and where your roses will come off of. Another one, this is last year's growth. You want to take it back to a strong bud here and clip and get rid of it. Last year's growth, but I'm going to take it back further because they're starting to cross each other and you don't want that either. So I'm going to take it. Now this one's got to go because that one's up in there. This is last year's growth and this one looks dead. So I'm actually probably going to take it back all the way to here. I know it looks scary, but it's not. It's much healthier for the plant to do that. Last year's growth and dead from last year. Take it back to this healthy bud right there. This one as well. Let's see what this one's doing. This one's a mess. Okay, just take that all off. Just really want to open up space for the plant to breathe. I don't want that one going in. Take that out. This one will just come off. But this one's like heading in towards the plant. So you want to take that down. This whole thing is kind of going in a direction towards the porch and I don't want that. So I'm going to take it down to this nice healthy bud. And then the way the bud is facing, that's where the canes will start to grow out from here, which is where I want it to go. I want it to come out and towards me and not inwards, where it will clog up the works and it won't have enough room to breathe. So I'm just going to keep going with this, and as soon as this is done, I will show you how I fertilize and we'll move on. So look at the difference now. We've got nice airflow through the middle, which is so important. We've got branches that are going up and out, and there's plenty of space in here, and they're not going to be crisscrossing. We've got all the dead out, we've got all the damaged out, and last year's growth, and I don't see any disease. And you'll have to excuse the dogs playing out here with us because they love this weather. Unlike any of our other garden beds, this one actually has paper that we put down to prevent the weeds. And so when you have paper down and you need to fertilize, normally you want to put the fertilizer around the drip line of your plant, which is the outer edge of your plant leaves and branches, okay? So not necessarily right up against the root, but now, since these have been in the ground a while, the roots aren't right here, they're out here at the drip line. So you wanna make sure that you get this fertilizer to the drip line. But if you have paper, like I do, the most important thing is that they just get the fertilizer. So I have to put it right at the root, where the roots are, here at the base so that they at least get it, because I can't get the paper up high enough to be able to put it around the drip line. And it's basically 1 1/4 cups or 1 1/2, 1 1/4 to 1 1/2 cups per plant. And I don't even measure it, to be honest. So we basically just go in, and for me, I've got to put it up underneath this paper, which in hindsight, I never would have put down. Make sure that it gets into the native soil that these plants are planted in. And you put it all around the base. And you just kind of scratch it in. So, but if you're in a very dry area, every time you prune and fertilize, you want to water it in, just to make sure that everything gets a good drink and the fertilizer can start working right away. Anyway, I'm going to keep going with these 2 rose bushes, and then we'll move on. I've got a couple other types of roses, and we'll look at the hydrangeas, see if we want to do any pruning on those yet. So stick with me. That by the look of these 3 roses, we've got a tall, a medium, and a low, and that is to do with me being a bit anxious about not pruning off too much. Remember I told you, be brave? I need to take my own advice. You know, you clean out the middle, you see how much more room there is here in the middle. The plant can breathe. So now we're gonna have some really good, healthy canes and healthy growth, and hopefully we'll do our best not to get any powdery mildew, so that'll be good. The next one we're going to do is actually it's a climbing rose. It's a gorgeous David Austin. Anytime I can get a David Austin rose, I am thoroughly excited. But this one is a climber. Now, it's in a temporary spot right now, so I'm not going to be doing any super heavy pruning, just enough for it to make it happy. But I'll take you over there and we'll get that one all ready to go. So this is my climbing David Austin. I got it last year and I put it in its pot, and it did fabulous. I got 1 rose off of it, but I counted myself lucky because it was a new rose bush, just kind of getting used to things. If it was going to stay here, I would, cut it back and get it all inside here and tie it off, but it's not going to stay here as far as I know. So I'm just going to clean it up, get rid of its last year's growth, and See if there's any dead and diseased, like there's some branches here that are pretty flimsy and spindly. I'm going to get all those out of there and trim it back. It's got some room to breathe in there, but not a ton, especially once it starts getting all of its foliage. It's going to just be full, and I don't want this to get powdery mildew either. So here we go. So I just wanted to show you some of the, you can see the buds, if I can, here's some good ones right here. Here's some buds coming out. So just like the other rose that we just pruned, you want to cut it back to a good strong bud. And now see this rose cane, remember our 3 Ds, diseased, damaged, or dead. I don't know what's going on here, but we're going to cut that out, okay? Because we don't want anything to be perpetuated into the next year. So I'm going to just take it back to here and get rid of whatever it is it's doing, okay? So you just want to be on the lookout for anything like that and get rid of it. And this right here is a spindly branch that is going right through the middle of the plant, and we want to get rid of that because again, it needs room to breathe. This one right here is a good example of the crisscross. You're going to have some of it, but this one is, you know, really rubbing right here. So I'm going to take it down. I'm going to take it down to here, okay, and I'm going to lose some height, but I'm telling you, these rose bushes, they grow so fast. I mean, see how tall this cane is here, and that's just last year's growth because it comes like down to here. When you buy it, when it arrives at your house, it comes really short. And so if it's got that much growth, I can sacrifice some of the length because, like I said, it's not going to be in this pot forever, as far as I know. Could change, but as soon as I get the arbor up, I'm going to start training it onto the arbor. Now, some of them, you can tell, I don't see any buds on them. Like this one in particular. Oh, I'm lying. There is one right there. So I'm going to look for another one further down. I can't really see them yet. So I'm not going to take it down as far as I normally would, but I am going to take off the old growth. And this one is growing in, so I want to get rid of that one altogether. Ah! Ow. Oh my goodness. They are out to get you. So I'm going to add a little rose tone to this one. And this one I can do around the drip lines. So the drip line would basically be the circumference of this arbor right now. So I'm just going to make a little trench along the outside and then cover it over. And see, I've got my drip ready to go in here. And then I'll come in later and clean out some more of the dead leaves. But like I said, it looks small, but the growth on this throughout the season is phenomenal. So we are going to move on. I've got another shrub, David Austin, that I want to show you. It's young, but it still is going to need a little bit of a clip. So off we go. All right, so this one is a David Austin, and this one's a Lady of Shalott, but this one had some issues, and so I'm just trying to beef it up and make sure that it really takes off this next season, because this one was also, well, most of my plants, because we built this house 2 years ago, most of my plants are very young, very young. And some were here 2 years ago, not many, and most of what you'll see has just been put in this past year. But I'm just going to trim a bit on this. I am encouraged though, because there is a lot of new fresh bloom or fresh buds coming out. So that tells me that it's not dead. Tessa, Oh, they play so rough. They love each other. So I do want to come in here and get out anything that's, again, dead, damaged, and diseased, and make sure it has enough room to breathe. It's pretty congested in the middle here right now. So we're going to do the same thing. This is also a shrub rose, so it's I'm hoping it doesn't just have this much growth this year. I'm hoping it really takes off. So fingers crossed. I don't think I'm going to tackle the hydrangeas today because the buds on them aren't quite formed very well. In order to prune the hydrangea, you really want to see some really strong bulbs or buds, because then you know where you want to make your cut. So maybe next week we'll look at them again and see where they're at. So that's all we're going to do for today, but we've got so much planned for this season. New garden beds are going in, new plantings. We're going to get some evergreens, get some weight to this property. All kinds of stuff coming up. So I hope you'll join me, and I hope you like this, and I hope you have a really great day. Bye.